Man is dog, but I guess it's okay since women is heartless gold diggers. Welcome to another episode of Where the Rubber Meets the Road. This program is a social experiment that aims to bridge the gap that exists between men and women. The same gap that is often responsible for a lot of the misconceptions and conflicts that we experience on a daily basis. This is whether it's in a social or relationship context. I'm your host, Michael Griffith. Join me this and every episode as we share our opinions as well as venture into the streets and encourage men and women to do the same, all with hopes of better understanding each other. Today's question is, as a man or woman, what is one thing you believe the opposite sex fails to understand about your personal or collective experience? So in other words, what's one thing you think man don't get about what it's like to be a woman, and what's one thing women just don't understand about what it's like to be a man? Man is dog, but I guess it's okay since women is heartless gold diggers. That's something every Guyanese would have heard at some point in their life. But what if the situation is way deeper than that? What if each side is pointing to something that even they themselves don't understand fully in most cases? In this episode, we'll be exploring what's really going on beneath the surface with both men and women before heading out into the streets to hear from them personally on the topic. Let's begin with the female experience. Men, have you ever wondered why is it that so many men share the experience of the heartless gold digger? Or in other words, the woman that is only interested in the bag or only concerned about what you could do for she? Short answer is survival. Most women view reality through the lens of survival. Now, what is meant by this? Women are generally more vulnerable in society than men. Women are the ones that if a man decide I can take advantage of you, are generally powerless. So what does this do to someone's psyche? This causes your experiences to be way more profound than the experiences of a man. So a man and a woman could have the same experience, but based on the higher levels of vulnerability that the woman experienced, she might be more traumatized than the man because she perceives herself as being more exposed, more vulnerable to attacks, risks of being taken advantage of, hurt, and so on. So most times, women's priority of finances is an attempt to secure their future and, by extension, their survival. And this is obvious based on the things that women generally prioritize. So you'd find women prioritizing, other than finances, physical security. So I want a man that is 6 feet. What does a 6 feet man bring to the table? The ability to chase off other men with their imposing stature. Or I want a man that loves me and cares for me, emotional security. What that means is if you're emotionally invested in me, then you're likely to protect me. You're likely to look out for my well-being. So if we as men understand that women are generally more vulnerable in society, therefore causing them to prioritize a particular set of things above others, then we have the responsibility to navigate the dynamic using this information to better benefit them and ourselves. And what I mean by this is don't hang your hat where your hand can't reach. So if you're working for $100,000 a month and you see a woman look like She experienced certain amount of trauma in the past, so now she need this amount of finances because only they're gonna make you feel safe. Stay in your lane. They're gonna avoid a lot of the feelings of inadequacy that men can experience as a result of being unable to provide the needs of the woman. As it relates to physical security, prioritize her well being. Emotional security, understand that every time you betray her, she's less likely to trust you, meaning less likely to feel safe. If you understand these simple things about female experience as a man, you're on your way to being way more successful than the average man. Men, on the other hand, have a completely different experience. The young boy at the age of puberty gets to witness his female counterpart at the same age beginning to receive gifts, acts of service, and favors. And what this implicitly teaches him is there must not be anything valuable about me. And most men grow up with a sense of insignificance. Most men grow up feeling there's no implicit value to my experience and my existence other than the resources that I can offer and provide. And what this usually does is it puts men in a position where they unconsciously react to that lack of value or that feeling of insignificance. And the one place they can feel valuable is in their ability to have a woman provide sexual acknowledgement of their value. In other words, if you as a woman have this thing that is valued by so many men, and I convince you or encourage you to offer me that which is valuable, it must be an indication of my inherent value. And most instances, men become unconsciously chasing that sense of significance, chasing that sense of value through sexual encounters. What does this mean for the woman that understands this dynamic? What does this mean for the woman that realizes that men are chasing significance and value through their sexual exploits? It means that there's an opportunity for women not only encourage men to discover their inner values, but also make them feel appreciated and loved, teaching them that their value goes beyond their ability to secure sexual favors. Now, while most of these concepts and dynamics may run much deeper and can be affected by different things like trauma, past experiences, cultural context, it is my hope that this brief analysis serves to resolve some of the misconceptions we might experience between men and women in Guyanese society today. Now, join me as we venture into the street to hear from both men and women on their opinion on the topic. So, good evening. I'm here with what's
Tony.
it?
Tony.
Tony, and I'm asking him the question from his perspective. What is something that he believes women do not quite understand about the male experience?
Well, I would say to women all over the world is that men are way simpler. Where I think we bring a lot to the table, but we are often underestimated by society. We're not given our kudos for the contributions we make to society, for the family. The society now is all really geared towards women and mothers, and men are often overlooked. But we happily take that burden on, right? Because that's the way it's been in history. But if I would remind women, is don't forget the men. Men are very important, right? And we're much more simpler and easier to understand if you really take the time to get to know us. So that's my take.
Definitely. So we have the perspective that men are way simpler than a lot of us, a lot of society make us out to be. And a lot of time it's just about some appreciation and taking the time to get to know us and understand us.
Men, I should also add, men also carry a lot of burdens mentally or psychologically, but because of the way they're designed, they're not allowed to express it. So when you see a guy, he could probably got a million things on his mind, but he's been trained by society, by birth, and to a certain extent his genetics. You know, as a man, you're told not to complain. So men take on a lot, but they keep a lot inside. So I wish more people could understand that and appreciate that.
Definitely.
All right.
I really appreciate the
No
opportunity to
problem.
talk to you. All right, so I'm here with
Nigel Butler.
Nigel Butler, and I'm asking him from the male perspective, what's one thing you think women don't get about what it's like to be a man?
I would say like the decision making aspect of things. Um, Sometimes of course, men have their own experiences with certain aspects of life. So when you make a decision, you actually make it from a perspective of how you understand it, as opposed to women when they make decisions. Of course, they make it from their perspectives as well. And because we have different experiences, that's one thing that contradicts each other.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah, I hear this coming up a lot. So if I understand you correctly, you from your perspective that women don't see the world through the lens of a man. So a lot of times the reasons behind the decisions we make, they might not fully understand.
yeah, and that's a given. That's something you know happens, and sometimes you don't realize it happening at that point in time. But when you look back or when you reflect on it,
You realize it.
that you realize that that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely, definitely. All right. It was nice hearing from you. I'm asking you the same question. From a woman's perspective, what's one thing you think women just don't get? Men just don't get about what it's like to be a woman.
Um, that's a very hard question to answer.
Anything.
And also, it's an easy question to answer if you have a whole list. But it's a hard question to answer because you're asking for one thing. So
I see.
I would say for me, trying to figure it out on the spot, because I think I would need a few days to answer this question. But I would say probably women's hormonal cycles and how our mood
It's affected by-
changes a lot from day to day, even from hour to hour. And I don't think that's something men understand fully. And I would also argue that us women ourselves don't even understand sometimes why we're feeling the way we're feeling and some of the some of the emotions that we're going through and our reactions sometimes, because when we look back at our own behavior we also would question why we behaved
Acted,
in that
yeah.
manner or said those things, and maybe if we were not suffering in some kind of harmonious something happening, maybe we would not have behaved that way. Yes.
I understand completely. So, what I'm hearing is, from your perspective, you think men fail to fully understand how much a woman is at the mercy of her hormones, and a lot of times
And our biology.
okay, and the biology. So a lot of times it's not necessarily that she's just trying to be a bitch. It's she might be dealing with certain things on an emotional level or a psychological level that even she herself don't fully understand.
Correct. And I wouldn't use the words trying to be a B word. But I would say that I wouldn't just blame men for not understanding. As I said, it's also on women. So I would sort of blame the system as it is for not focusing more and paying more emphasis and maybe trying to do more research in that area and making it a scientific priority since we are, one half of the genders.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and this is an age-old problem. So why not focus a little bit more on it in science?
Okay, so raising the awareness socially or globally is your perspective that would help at least mitigate some of the disconnect that results from the lack of understanding. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and maybe also if there is more research in terms of how the biology works, and if there is anything that can be done to help us all better to understand it. I'm not saying it's something that needs to be medicated or anything like that, but just understanding.
Okay, definitely. So greater awareness and higher levels of understanding is the solution to the men not being fully aware of how much a woman is at the mercies of her hormones. I got you. So it was nice having this chat with an old friend, and I plan to call you again for the next interview.
Thank you. I think it's important the work that you're doing. So I hope you get other interviews as well, so we can hear other perspectives.
Thanks a lot. So I'm here with
Roseanne.
Roseanne, and I'm asking her the question: what is one thing she finds men don't understand about the female experience, or what it's like to be a woman?
Hmm. For me, men don't understand is that the Guyanese would say the weight a woman fetch. Yes, those.
And this way, you refer to the emotional, the physical, and so on in terms of responsibilities so that women experience on a daily basis.
Yes, emotional, physical, mental. Yes,
I definitely agree that a lot of times women deal with way more than they speak about, and beginning the conversation, at least communicating the sentiment, would at least create opportunity for greater empathy. So I definitely hear you. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Here with
My name is Mishak Brady.
okay, Mishak, and I'm asking him the question: what's one thing he thinks women don't fully understand about what's like to be a man?
Well, for men, mostly when we were growing up, men they said men don't cry, men don't show emotions. We were taught to internalize everything we feel from a young age. Basically, suck it up and keep moving on. And this is the thing women don't understand mostly about we. They say we get cold, we shut them out, and so on. But it's just what we know. It's instinct.
Definitely. So what I'm hearing is based on upbringing, based on societal expectation, men have closed off the part of themselves that is willing or has a need to express a lot of the emotions. A lot of times we keep it bottled up.
Yes, basically that's it.
I really enjoyed your answer. Thanks a lot. So I'm here with
Jamal.
Jamal. Good. And I'm asking him the same question. What's one thing he thinks women don't understand about what's like to be a man?
For me personally, as men, we when we grow up, we act based on how our father treat our mother. So sometimes, if a woman is not being treated the way she would see her mother was treated, they tend to think, you know what, we are the bad person or so forth. But we need to look way back as to how our mother was treated, and this is how our father grew us. So this is how we know how to treat a woman. So it's a learned behavior. So I think instead of just chastising us, they should help us to show us how to love them. So we would avoid that gap between the love and relationship between men and women.
Exactly. So what I'm hearing is based on the fact that we never had, as men, never had better examples of how to navigate certain, whether it's emotional or social dynamics. We tend to repeat and recreate the same dynamics that we saw growing up. And the solution would be more and greater initiatives aimed towards teaching and helping men to navigate and learn how to be better individuals in society. Thank you for your contribution.
No problem. Take care.
So I'm here with,
Crystal.
and I'm asking her the question: what is one thing she thinks men fail to understand about the female experience? Crystal?
Okay, so good afternoon. In my opinion, this is what I usually experience, but I think men fail to understand women's feelings when it comes to a lot of things. Let's say like family problems or so. Mostly women. It takes a lot to trust someone, and once you gain a woman's trust, breaking it is very heartbreaking because it takes a lot to express feelings. Yes, express feelings, especially let's say from broken homes. Well, I'm mostly sharing my experience because that's yes. So let's say from broken homes, obviously women take on a lot and they tend to keep things to themselves. So they need a lot of like strength, I would say, to share it with a male or someone of the opposite gender because they have a fear of being judged and misunderstood and stuff like that. So I would share a personal experience. I once shared my entire experience with this boy, and he just ghosted me, and it totally broke my heart. Yeah, I'm still trying to get over it, because I remember I told this boy everything that I never told anyone before, and it took a lot for me to share my experience with him, and he just stopped talking to me, and it actually broke my heart because that took a lot. And I just keep on thinking, what if he thinks I'm weird, or maybe he's sharing my experience with other people, even though, so I would say one thing that men would fail to understand about women is feelings, and feelings is something very big. And I think that if a woman trusts you enough to tell you her personal stories and stuff like that, it should not be taken for granted, because that could cause a lot of trust issues, that's in relationships and stuff like that. So understanding someone, especially a woman, and her feelings is very important, and I think all men should try their best to understand women and their feelings. So that's what I would say. Feelings. Thank you.
So what I'm hearing is your perspective is the fact that women are vulnerable. It often takes a lot for them to open up, and when that trust is abused, not reciprocated, it can result in women either becoming shut down or end up going to the other end of the spectrum and being vindictive and so on. So I understand. So men, so you heard it, men have a responsibility when women allow themselves to be vulnerable, not to abuse this trust. It was nice talking to you.
Yes, thank you.
Now, grab your doggy bags because it's time for the takeaway. It's obvious that there's a definite disconnect between men and women, one that often results in way too many persons left feeling misunderstood. So, how do we move from a place of feeling unsafe and insignificant as men and women to a place of feeling seen and heard? By first understanding that in so many cases, the problem presenting is hardly ever the problem. In other words, there's often something beneath the surface. If we take the time to listen, I mean really listen to what is being said, you can often hear the scared or the insignificant little girl and little boy begging to be heard. Providing we treat each other from a place of empathy, there's opportunity to create greater understanding among us. And greater understanding translates to better relationships, better families, and better communities. So that brings us to the end of this episode. For those of you that made it this far, thank you for sticking around. Join us in the next episode as we venture into the streets, asking persons, how do you wish to be seen by those that matters most to you? Until then, I'm your host, Michael Griffith, and I'll see you next where the rubber meets the road.